So how to avoid partiality? So the question can come like, we all know that we have to be impartial once we enter into bureaucracy. We have to be impartial like anything. But the thing is, some way or the other, we become partial to something. So that quality, how to avoid or how to reduce that? Because in a way, human beings, there are situations when human beings become partial, and there will be situations where we will face this particular dilemma. So how to avoid it? First of all, impact on interest analysis. What is this? This refers to juxtaposing the impact of a decision on all stakeholders. Juxtaposing means you you assemble all things together. You assemble all things together and then decide, and then use your knowledge, use anything, use your potential, or use your aptitude. You assemble everything together and then decide on your decision which you have taken. Because when you put all things in a single place, it becomes very easy to solve the problem. Okay, this should help one analyze if interest of any one group is unreasonable or arbitrarily favored. Once you put things together, you will come to know, what is reasonable, what is not reasonable, what is arbitrarily put, what is not arbitrarily put. Everything will be like, there will be a very clear picture. Then a decision that favors any one section arbitrarily should not be made. So after putting all things together, once you get to know ki, okay, this is the thing which is favoring an arbitrary decision, that you can avoid. So once you avoid that, so your partiality thing is gone. Fine, your partiality thing is gone. Fine. Now coming to the second thing, applying brakes on emotions, very important. Because in a bureaucracy, there is no, I'll not say there is no place for emotion, because once you see a poor, you have to be emotional. That is a separate thing. Now I am talking about decision. Once you take a decision, your emotional thing will not come into play. Fine, your emotional thing should not come into play. So most arbitrary partial decisions are made under the influence of emotions. Any arbitrary decision you take, they're in a way, like by and large, they're taken under the influence of emotions. A civil servant may get upset by ill treatment meted out to him by some community in the past. This could make him act unfairly against that such community. Suppose suppose you are a civil servant and some community in a area where you are posted, some community has given you some ill treatment, maybe for XYZ reasons. For XYZ reasons, you are not you become very sad for that, and you are not okay with that thing, like ill treatment. They did ill treatment. So you should not take a grudge on that, because any kind of grudge is also an emotion, right? So in future, for their betterment, you have a scheme which is in your hand, but because of that past ill treatment they did, you are not like doing any positive thing for them. So that is also, you are applying brakes. So you should apply brake on that particular emotion. An employee who has spoken critically against the civil servant would create a sense of ill will in the letter. Thus a civil servant is likely to disfavor him or her. Thus, if emotions are avoided and decisions are made on the basis of rationality, such partiality can be avoided. So anything in past has happened to you. So this example also you can write. Anything which is in the past has happened to you, that you should forget. You should take all your decisions based on a rational basis. On a rational basis, or on an objective thing, or as per the law, or as per the merit. All these words you can use it. Okay, fine. Next, being free from bias. See, you have to be free from bias. Any bias will not work in a bureaucracy. Like for a civil servant, you should be free from bias. Why? See, a civil servant should consciously be free from such biases as stereotypes. We covered last class stereotypes. Any stereotype feeling will hinder your work. Halo effect also covered. Recency effect also covered. Primacy effect also covered. All these association of things, you should be free from all these things, because all these things will, what it will do, it will make you a subjective person. It will make you a subjective. You will do your analysis subjective wise, which again hampers or will hamper the civil services. Okay, all these concepts have been expanded under objectivity. We have all covered it. So these are all interrelated things. Okay, these are all interrelated things. Now, verifying decisions with those of peers. So you have to verify your decisions with your peer. Means it can be a senior, it can be a junior also, it can be your colleague also. You have to always verify your decision, whether the decision you have taken is correct or not. Every civil servant has peers. You'll be also having peers in a department. Will work. You can't single-handedly work, right? So you have to understand that every decision taken in a way will affect everyone. Okay. So every civil servant has peers who have made decisions under same or similar circumstances. For example, your senior or your boss, he has gone through it. So you may ask him so that he can share his experiences. He can share his experiences and can tell you what to do, what not to do. Okay. So analyzing the proposed decision in the light of same or similar decisions can be taken by peers could help one check for the component of partiality. It can help you whether you are being partial or not. Once you verify your decision with your seniors who has gone through that experience or who has gone through similar kind of circumstances. Okay. So then after asking, you can do the necessary changes. So then the necessary alterations mean changes. So the necessary alterations can be made. Okay. For example, suppose a civil servant needs to devise a strategy for auctioning coal blocks. Coal blocks को auction करने के लिए suppose a civil servant has to, like, he wants to make a strategy. He has to devise the criteria and parameters such that no player is arbitrarily favored, because in यहाँ पे बहुत corruption होता है. कोल ऑक्शन में बहुत करप्शन होता है, क्रॉनिक कैपिटलिज्म बहुत होता है. सो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम यू नीड टू टेक केयर, बिकॉज द क्राइटेरिया यू आर मेकिंग, सो यू नीड टू टेक केयर कि नो प्लेयर इज आर्बिट्रली फेवर्ड. ओके. देन he can check his proposed modus operandi. With that, followed by his peers in the allocation of coal blocks. So you can ask, because previously somebody like should have gone through this, right? Because coal auction is not a new thing. Previously also auctioning was there. So you can just ask, like while preparing your strategy, obviously you will have your own strategy, but at least you can ask for the best practices. You can always ask, see, best practices. See, nobody is best. Okay, nobody is best. Nobody knows everything. So we all learn. So if you ask also, there is nothing wrong in it. The point what happens in the real time is there is something called ego problem. Ego issues happen. Why will I ask? I know everything because I am the bureaucrat. I know everything. So in that sense, उसी sense में what happens is you make a mistake. You make a mistake because our bureaucracy has a colonial mindset. Because see, our bureaucracy is from British era, right? It's from British era. So that Babu feeling comes. Okay, we are the Babu. What do we do is correct. So this feeling, to remove this feeling, you need to ask. You need to see if your mindset is always okay. I am here for the people. I am here for the people. If you always think I am here for the people, because the name is civil servant. So what is the term here? Servant. So the thing is, the bureaucrats, what they do, I'm not talking about all the bureaucrats, but some bureaucrats, what the thing is, they forget this word servant. After all, you are the servant of the public, civil. So you should never forget that. So you have to keep your egos aside and work together for the betterment of the public. Okay. Next, development of objective decision support systems. You have to develop this. See, partiality emerges mostly from discretion. I'll tell you what is this. Discretion means you will have some discretionary powers. Okay. You have discretion means you will take some decisions on your own. Okay. So you have on your own. So you have some discretionary powers. So once you get discretionary powers, you think, or the civil servants think we are everything. What we take that is correct. Okay. So there also, from their discretionary power comes the problem. If the element of discretion is eliminated, then partiality vanishes. See, obviously we'll have the discretionary power. What I'm trying to say here is, see, it is a like there, it is a law. Okay, obviously we'll have some discretionary powers. But having said that, if before taking some decisions, if you take it on an objective criteria from merit or a rational basis, or if you ask someone about the best practices, So there is no wrong in it. Okay, such decision support systems based on objective criteria should be built. For example, यहाँ पे एक example है. Suppose a civil servant needs to select an employee for best performance. Suppose you have to select an employee. Then a decision support system is to be built such that the performance indicators are laid down and every employee is rated on those parameters. You rate, these are the parameters based on which the performance will be taken. So you write it down and every employee is rated on those parameters. Okay? Then the employee who tops shall be chosen for the award. If the varying working conditions of the employees have to be factored in, then even such factoring in should be based on quantifiable parameters. It means every working conditions are not the same. So we have to take into account the working conditions of each employee, and that parameter should also be added here. We can give them a weightage, right? We can give them a weightage, 10% or a 15%. So everything should be done in a proper, rational, objective manner, so that there is no scope of politicians to enter. And usually what happens is the politicians will try to influence you. Okay, so there comes the conflict of interest. So for that, you need to always have a objective decision support systems. So this you have to develop. You have to develop in order to be impartial. In order to be impartial, you need to develop this attitude. Okay. Next is seeking public opinion. Very important. Kyunki after all, you are a civil servant. You are working for the people. So if you do not take their opinion, then there is no point. Okay. So seeking public opinion. It is a wise idea to put all possible draft decisions on public domain, unless such decision is confidential. देखो कुछ decisions confidential होगा जो which you are not supposed to put it in public, but at least those information which the public has to know, you can put it. Then comments आएगा, comments for each of the decision from every interest group are received. In the light of the above decision you can take, that does not arbitrarily favor any particular section. However, merely seeking public opinion is not enough. Proactive outreach to all stakeholders must be made. Otherwise, many stakeholders may not even know that comments are called for. So what I'm trying to say here is you have to consult. The word is consult. Simple. See, all these things are mentioned, but the thing is in ethics, the scope is only 150 words for answer. So you do not have scope to explain each and everything. You have to be very particular and move to the next point. So consult to the public wherever required, not everything, because every sensitive information you can't do. Wherever required, and also all the stakeholders, because they are also important, right? Stakeholders, those any project, both funding होती है, private people fund, so everybody has to be consulted. Okay, so here you have to consult everything. Finally, to improve your impartial nature, you have to have this feeling of dedication. That is dedication to public service. This dedication should be there. Dedication is very important. Why? See, for example, very often it happens that the civil servants wants their home state or where they are comfortable at. Usually the feeling is there that I want to work only in maybe Rajasthan or maybe in Chennai or maybe in Hyderabad or maybe in Delhi. So that should not be the case. You should have that dedication for public service. Wherever posted, which work is given, you have to do it, because every work is a public service. Every work is a public service. Okay, fine. Okay, next. So it is provided either by government on its own or through any other agencies, because these are the services which are provided by government. Service refers to intangible product that meets a specific need of a consumer. Public service includes everything. Police service, judicial service, everything is public services. Okay. Provision of electricity, water, sewerage, roads, public transportation, public health, everything, and the list goes on and on. Everything provided by the government is a public service. So dedication to public service implies complete involvement of oneself in the delivery of public service. Public service should not be treated as just another job, because public service directly impacts every member in the society. Sabko impact karta hai wo. Okay, so you have to be very careful of the delivery of public services. Because why? Because the citizens have voted. The citizens vote किए हैं. Okay, they are representatives of the political leaders. Why they have voted? To make, or they have promised something. These are, they have promised something. Okay, we will deliver this to you. We will deliver this. So you have those. So here the civil servants come who will implement this. So you have to be careful about that because they have voted for you. So you are the link channel, okay, or the link between the people, that is the citizens who have voted, and the leaders. So here the civil servants are there, or the public officers. Okay. So if you can like frame like this, so you are also a part of democracy, right? Because they have voted to you, they have told, promised you, we will deliver the services. So in between, you have to do it. So you have to be very particular about the, you have to completely involve yourself. Okay. Any disruption in public service delivery could scuttle the societal development or could lead to lopsided development. That is one thing. Development भी नहीं होगा. Second क्या होगा? Trust. The trust will decrease. The trust will decrease, and the trust will decrease on two sides. The people trust on the leaders will decrease. The people trust on the civil servants will also decrease. So they will not trust the bureaucracy. They will not trust the bureaucracy. And the thing is, bureaucracy is like we see it as a very high regard. We give it a very high regard, right? Somebody who goes for IS or IPS, we see him as a very highest regard, or they're very esteemed people. So once that trust becomes down, so it becomes very difficult to bring back. Okay, fine. Suppose there is a power outage. Okay, it is a public service touching the lives of almost every individual. Then the whole electricity department should work day in and day out for the restoration of power, because it is a public, right? Otherwise, if employees in electricity department prefer to work only during office hours 9 to 5, then it causes untold misery and loss to the society. If you say no, we'll work only in daytime. So you have to be full dedicated to this public service, because power or जो electricity होती है ये सबके लिए है, and it is a 24/7 thing. Okay. Similarly, suppose that a mega religious festival is to be conducted. Okay? Lakhs of devotees are supposed to throng to the event. It demands construction of dining halls, shelter, and even roads and footpath. Demand करता है because बहुत सारे लोग, very devotees will go. Also, suppose that the event is just 3 months away and the work at hand is very massive. Event बहुत 3 महीने है, but the work is very big. Then public servants have to work overnight to finish the work. This calls for dedication of public service. तो dedication जो word है ये हर चीज में चाहिए. Obviously, we are talking here about public service, but dedication word we'll read in some other chapters also. Dedication is also important for everyone, each and every sphere of life. Whatever you do, be you are a student, be you are a lawyer, doctor, teacher, everyone, dedication is required. Okay, dedication to what you do. Okay. Okay, so for this dedication to come, you have to start loving your work, and the work is here. We all know, for a doctor, we know the work. For a student, your work is to study. Your work is to study as much as possible, as much as getting the content, going deep into a particular concept. Okay, so you have to love that thing, because once you love, then that interest will come, and once that interest comes, that dedication comes. Very simple funda. Okay, fine. Next. Okay, so the next thing is, this calls for dedication. So a dedicated public servant would place public service over above family and personal affairs. Anything going in your family, it can be anything, XYZ problems. You should not come and say, I had this problem. That is the reason why I did not go at night. But you are a public servant, right? You are a public servant. So you have to be present 24/7, irrespective of your personal problems. Irrespective of your personal problems. Personal problems, so you should not bring in the professional thing. Okay, you have to be ready 24/7 for anything. Okay, so you have to forego trips with family get-togethers, annual cultural fest at children's school, and sometimes even attending to sick family members. Everything you have to leave. when you are needed, you have to be present. So that is called dedication. See, the thing is, once you get into the civil service, you are not only for the salary or the money. You are not only for the salary or the money. You are here to implement the government's policies which they have promised to the people. They have promised to the people. You have to do it. A minister will not come and do it. Funding aa jayega, sab kuch aa jayega, but you have to implement it, right? You have to see whether the things are going correctly or not once you become a DM. Okay. So a dedicated public servant would also keep his or her hobbies and interest aside in order to perform public service. आपका hobbies है, आपका बहुत सारे interest है. You have to give them a back foot or a back seat. When a crisis is being managed, a public servant would not play badminton in the morning, nor he would read a novel. Maybe तुम्हारा novel बहुत interest है पढ़ना, सुबह सुबह badminton खेलना. You can't say कि playing badminton is good for health. That is why I was not able to come when a crisis happened. I was not able to come because I am health conscious. No, you can't say that. You can't say because now again the last class में मैंने बोला था, you are not a normal citizen now. You have become a public servant. ठीक है, you can't say कि मुझे सुबह सुबह खेलना अच्छा लगता है, मैं खेलूंगा फिर जाऊंगा बैडमिंटन बिकॉज मैं ये 50 साल से कर रहा हूं. वैसा you can't say. ठीक है, फाइन. Next, a dedicated public servant abstains from setting up of a private or parallel professions that affect public service delivery. अगर आप प्राइवेट कोई प्रोफेशन करोगे, आप कर सकते हो, ऐसा नहीं कि आप नहीं कर सकते, आप कर सकते हो, आप पैरेलल प्रोफेशन कर सकते हो, यू कैन डू इट, बट यू शुड एब्सटेन फ्रॉम डूइंग इट. You should abstain. आपको नहीं करना. You should abstain from doing it because again you will be overloaded with work. Now, obviously, it will affect the public service. So you should abstain from doing it because you are here to only to serve the people. You are here to serve people, nothing else. You are here to serve people. A dedicated government school teacher who do not set up private institutions. करते हैं वो, government teacher करते हैं, मना नहीं है. It's not कि it is not like banned कि you can't do. You can do it. But you should not do it. Instead, he or she would take extra sessions at school to help laggard students advance in studies. The thing is, a dedicated government teacher was sirf at the point the word used is dedicated. So here the government teacher is also a government. It's a government thing, right? He's also a public servant. So उसका काम ये होना चाहिए कि कैसे मैं उस बच्चों को पढ़ाऊं. Okay. वहां पे प्राइवेट ट्यूशंस वो नहीं, दे कैन डू इट, इट्स अ सेपरेट थिंग. ही कैन डू इट फॉर हिज टू अर्न मनी फॉर हिज फैमिली, दैट इज ओके. बट इफ द थिंग व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से हियर द कम्स द डायलेमा थिंग. आपको डेडिकेशन वर्सेस योर फैमिली नीड्स, ऑल दिस डायलेमा विल कम. ओके, यू हैव टू राइट इन केस स्टडी डेडिकेशन व्हिच इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वैल्यू versus family needs. Suppose you are not that much earning, but your dedication, and if you are honest and you are having a character of integrity, so you will take this aside, dedication to your work. Okay. Similarly, a government doctor dedicated to public service would not set up his or her private practice because it will affect them, because the private practice mein money is more, so it means you are giving more importance to money and less importance to your work. It means your dedication is less to the public service. It may, maybe your dedication is more your private practice, maybe it is good, your dedication is good, but we are talking about dedication towards government thing, towards the public service. Okay. Next, the most important, empathy. We have covered this, I'll cover it again. Empathy का मतलब क्या है? See, two things never get confused with empathy and compassion. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between empathy and compassion? Anyone? What's the difference between empathy and compassion? Both are nearly the same, but there is a very big difference. Yes?
Empathy is going to one's shoes and look after them.
Compassion?
Compassion is like, the example is like Mother Teresa, looking after everyone with equal.
The only difference is simple. Before going this, I'll tell you a simple meaning. Empathy means you are thinking about the person's problem. Okay? You are feeling for him. ठीक है, but you are not doing anything. Here no action. Compassion में empathy plus you are doing something, that is action. Simple. Compassion. Example, Mother Teresa का example, very good example. Another example, day to day life example I'm giving. Mother Teresa example also you can give, because she had empathy. That is the reason she did for the people her whole life. So she is a compassionate person. So obviously under this compassion empathy will come, but under empathy compassion will not come, because compassion में action, you have to show it in your action. आपको दिखाना पड़ेगा, बोलने से नहीं होगा. That kind of thing. For example, आप रोड पे जा रहे हो, so there is an accident happened. ठीक है, there is an accident happened. You are going in a car, right? You stopped the car. Okay, you stopped the car. You came outside. You felt for him. He's very much wounded. Okay, you felt for him. You had a nice talk with him. Like you told him no problem. You will be fine. All these things you told. It means that is an empathetic behavior. That is an empathetic behavior. You showed it, which is very good. But another person comes, everything he does, talks everything, and he takes him to hospital. He takes him to hospital and he gives the bills and all. It means he is a compassionate person. Action mega. So these are the basic differences between empathy and compassion. Okay. Now, empathy implies placing one's in the shoes of others. In other words, essentially means thinking from the standpoint of another person. It also means attempting to experience the experience of others. So you are trying to think, okay, उसको कितना दुख हुआ होगा, ठीक है? You are putting yourself in your shoes, in his or her shoes. A civil servant needs to have empathy towards public at large and his or own employee. You need to have this empathy, because empathy जब तक नहीं आएगा तब तक you can't do, right? You can't show in your action. Compassion, to become a compassionate person, you have to have a empathetic attitude, or you need to have a empathy towards that person. A civil servant's actions and decisions are likely to affect large masses. Anything you do, it will affect them, right? In a positive way or a negative way. Hence, a small amount of empathy could help him or her experience the feelings and troubles of others, so that appropriate decisions are made. Now, this thing was not there when during our British rule. This was not there, because why? Because those bureaucrats, they had vested interests. They had vested interests. They were ruling us for their own interests. So it is very obvious they will not have empathy thing. So this British colonial era or colonial era mindset has come into our modern times also, post independence. Because once you become a bureaucrat, you start feeling like you are God or something. ठीक है, हम सोच में आ जाते हैं कि हाँ मैं ही सब कुछ हूँ. So from that feeling, these things will slowly reduce. So that's why I always tell, once you become bureaucrat, do not forget how you got it. Do not forget the roots, कि आप कहाँ से आए हो. If you always focus this, do not forget your roots. Every day you have to keep yourself telling कि I have reached here by lot of hard work, where other people are also doing, but I was the privileged to get it. So you have to always keep this in mind, and always start having this empathy attitude to help others. Start having this attitude to help others, and I'm talking about real help. Anything, once you see, this is a very common thing. Okay, like in a bureaucracy it is needed, even it is needed in normal people also, whether you go to bureaucracy or not. Obviously that's a separate thing, which we like I will not discuss here. It's in a very different chapter, but I'll just give you a brief. If you start doing it from your student life, from your 20s, obviously this quality will get embedded into your own character. It will be get embedded into your character. Slowly you will start becoming empathetic towards others. It's very important to give them real help. See, but the thing is, you have to be genuine or not. So helping is not like whoever asks will help. You have to be very genuine in that. Okay. So to become genuine also, you have to use your objective criteria. Last class mein padhe the objective criteria. Okay, so all these things are related. It's all these characters are related, or all these values are related. ठीक है? A civil servant who is demolishing roadside buildings must empathize with the plight of those shopkeepers. Otherwise, he would not be able to provide a proper compensation and rehabilitation to them. Obviously, see, demolishing things happens. It's a very regular thing. Government will tell, okay, any illegal thing you have to demolish. Fine, do it. But yes, there are some shopkeepers who are running their home from that shop, right? So you need to have that quality empathy and try to convince the government, or you have to, obviously, within the law you have to create some rehabilitation for them, so that they also continue their livelihood. Fine. Or proper compensation or rehabilitation should be given to them. You cannot simply leave them, right? So from here only the empathetic attitude should come. Fine. Okay. Next, one more example. An IPS officer, see, just remember the examples. These examples will help you score marks in ethics. Ethics is only example. You have to write and you have to give examples. Okay? An IPS officer should have the empathy towards people who are arrested under Preventive Detention Act. We know what is preventive detention, fundamental rights. We have studied Article 20. Okay. Otherwise, he may not exercise caution and arrest even innocent civilians. हम प्रिवेंटिव डिटेंशन में रखते हैं. We keep someone if we think he is in future a problem to the law and order of the society. So हम preventive detention में कुछ time के लिए रखते हैं, ठीक है, without any trial. But at that time, you need to have empathy so that a wrong innocent people are not kept under preventive detention act. So you need to be very careful on that. So there also you're knowing the law, your own objective criteria, how you are solving the problems, everything will come into play. Everything. Okay? Because this could spoil the lives of innocents forever. Because एक बार जेल जाओगे तो बाहर आके people will not accept you, right? So that is the thing. So you should be very careful. So this is a very good example. You can use it. A civil servant must nurture empathy towards all employees in general and special case employees in particular. खास करके प्रेग्नेंट एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं, न्यू मदर एम्प्लॉयज आते हैं, तो यू शुड बी थोड़ा उनको थोड़ा एम्पैथी से काम करना चाहिए. यू कांट बी सो स्ट्रिक्ट ऑन special cases employees. You can't be so strict just to show that you are strict. Fine. Okay. Senior citizen employees को भी, terminally ill employees, सबको you have to show that empathy. See, we are not saying कि don't work, but at least we are saying you should show that empathy. Okay. Suppose an employee is suffering from diabetes. Then if a civil servant does not have empathy, he may not let the diabetic employee from eating on time. Not eating on time could aggravate his health again. This would be a loss to the government. Also, since वो leave के लिए apply करेगा, maybe apply for medical reimbursement, or obviously the productivity will reduce. So you have to take care of that. If anyone is ill, so you have to take care of that. See, nobody is saying you to bring tiffin for them. Nobody is saying you to bring tiffin. At least you can be empathic and ask them, have you ate or not? So that is empathy behavior. And see, personally, if you ask, so you should develop this empathy how in your home, like the maid comes, right? I will give you an example. Maid comes. So see, we pay them, it's okay. We tell them to do this, to do that. Sometime also, if you ask them, have you eaten or not? So that from there only you will get that empathy attitude. एक बार पूछने से कुछ चला जाता है क्या? कुछ नहीं चला जाता है, right? You can ask, खाना खाया या नहीं? नहीं खाया तो इधर खा लो. Okay, all these small things you can develop from your own life. It is not a rocket science. कोई आपको सिखा नहीं सकता. You have to develop from your home. Slowly you have to do it. Okay, the best example of empathy with an employee is an anecdote from the life of Dr. Abdul Kalam. An engineer had sought his permission to leave early to take children to exhibition. ठीक है, एक इंजीनियर ने परमिशन के लिए मांगा था कि जल्दी वो जाएगा कि बच्चों को लेके जाना है एग्जीबिशन पे. Engrossed at work, he promptly forgot. ठीक है, he went home with a lot of remorse and guilt, guilt only not to find his kids there. Yes, Abdul Kalam had taken the kids to exhibition. वो खुद लेके गया था. So ये एक generous act है. This generous act of Kalam sprang from his empathy towards employees. यहाँ पे कोई ईगो नहीं, ईगो और मैं बड़ा हूं, मैं बॉस हूं, कुछ वैसा नहीं होता है. यू हैव टू शो योर वर्क, यू हैव टू शो ऑल दिस थिंग्स थ्रू योर वर्क. You should not show कि मेरा पोजीशन अच्छा है, मैं सबसे सीनियर हूँ. So all these things should not happen. Kalam would feel how badly his engineer would have felt for not taking his kids to exhibition as promised. This made him jump into action. This made him jump into action and ensure that his subordinate would not feel guilt for being so committed to work. So these are simple examples. Okay, simple examples. You can show empathy towards anyone, but the thing is, you have to show that empathy towards genuine people. You can't show like बस empathy के लिए आप सबको नहीं कर सकते, because objectivity criteria is also a part. Objectivity, empathy, sometimes it will come at loggerheads. So you have to write that objectivity will have a question on objectivity versus empathy. I guess we already had it. I'll discuss it again. There are times when these two values will come against each other. It will come against each other 100%. So at that time also you have to be very careful. You have to make a balanced thing. Objectivity भी हो रहा है, empathy भी हो रहा है. Okay, fine. How to develop empathy? जैसे हमने बोला अभी, how to develop empathy. Talk to people. Empathy emerges from awareness. आपको पता होगा तभी तो आपको पता चलेगा. Empathy means what? Going into other person's shoes. How to go to other person's shoes? When you talk, you will come to know. Na? If you don't know, how will you come to know? आंखों से तो पता नहीं चलेगा ना, आईज से पता चल जाएगा क्या? So you should talk. Firstly, one should have knowledge. Okay. एक टॉक, लिटरेचर, विजुअलाइज, बायोग्राफी, टॉलरेट, ये सब हम एक एक करके पढ़ेंगे. फर्स्टली वन शुड हैव नॉलेज अबाउट द फीलिंग्स ऑफ अदर्स. पहले तो आपको अदर्स, दूसरों का फीलिंग्स पता होना चाहिए. ओके, दिस कम्स फ्रॉम टॉकिंग टू पीपल. Hence, a civil servant needs to constantly talk to people to find out their emotions and feelings. However, he should have the knack to differentiate between doctored responses and genuine. Always I tell, genuine. You need to have that knack, means you need to have that aptitude. We have already covered aptitude in the last class. You need to have that aptitude to know what is genuine and what is not genuine. Okay. In order to empathize with the orthopedically challenged individual, one should talk to them as to how they would feel when they cannot climb stairs on their own, or whenever they cannot run to catch a bus. Should talk to them. Gandhiji lived with Harijans to know about their lifestyles and then emphasize with them. But if you also write another example, once Gandhiji came in 1915 from South Africa to India, he simply did not go into politics. 1 year, he started roaming around the country. He talked with people. He talked about their problems. Then only he understood the problems. Then that empathy thing came. And then that compassionate thing came. To do something for the people or for the country. Okay. Next. Enjoy literature. Literary forms like novels, movies, stories, folklore are nothing but portrayal of emotions of individuals. Every character represents one or the other section of the population in the society. Deeply observing that character would help one empathize with that section of population. आप books पढ़ो, movies देखो, novels देखो, क्योंकि everybody plays a character. अगर हम movies की बात करें, so there is a movie called बजरंगी भाईजान. ठीक है? If you see that movie, the character is very empathetic towards that small child. Very empathetic. उसको घर पे रखता है, उसको वापस लेके country के बाहर लेके छोड़ के आता है. So that character, you can take that character, you can imbibe that character, right? You can imbibe that character. Okay. So novel पढ़ने से, movies देखने से, obviously those movies which we can learn. Okay. So once the character you see which the hero portrays, so you can imbibe that and do it in your own life. Okay. So once you deeply observe that, so you can empathize. Movie like तारे ज़मीन पर makes a keen viewer Start empathizing intensely with the children with dyslexia. The child is a dyslexia, right? The teacher takes an initiative. There are a number of teachers in that school, but one teacher takes the initiative to, because he understood, he went and he observed that small child, he talked to him. Okay. Similarly, Black, uh, there's a movie of Black also, Amitabh Bachchan ka movie hai. So it makes viewer put himself into the shoes of a visually challenged person. See, the thing is, movies make a strong impact, okay, on the person's mind. So you can take these characters and then start imbibing it, and then you can show it in your action. Okay.
Sir, sir,
Yes. Yes.
sir, yeah, I'm going with your example in Bajrangi Bhaijaan, that is, you said as empathy that
Mm-hmm.
Salman Khan having towards that child.
Mm-hmm.
But what he helped, right, sir? So we can say that Salman Khan was compassionate also.
Yes, obviously, because from empathy, once you have that empathy, the compassion will come, right? I already told you, right? Once you have that empathy,
So if he help one person also, it will come under compassionate.
compassion. See, the thing is, once you become empathetic, there are some person who will do it in action, so they become compassion. They are compassionate person. Who does not do it in action, they'll be only empathetic, but they did
Yes, that
not
is
do it.
for one person or one for one section or for one entire
One
country.
person, obviously, one person means one small child. Here it
Yes,
is
sir.
mentioned section. I'm talking about a small child. Okay, any small child who get lost. So they also become a section. There are section of people who get lost. Childs get lost, right?
Yes, sir.
So that person leaving everything, his own marriage or everything, he uh, uh, made an initiative. Ki I will take this child and make her meet their parents. Okay.
Sir, can we
Okay.
say that like compassion, if all the compassion will be
Hmm.
can be a part of empathy, but all empathy, like all the members who are empathic are not a
Yes,
part of
correct. See, empathy, all empathy can't be converted into compassion. Only if empathy plus action, then it will be converted into compassion.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. Next is visualization. A person can visualize pain, pleasure, and plight of others. This visualization could create a sense of empathy in the one who visualizes. To illustrate, a person can just close his eyes and visualize a war scene and hear the sound of bullets and firing all around him. He can visualize beamed bodies bathed in blood. This should create a sense of empathy towards the soldiers in the battlefield. ये भी अब देखने के बाद visualization देखने के बाद भी एक आ जाता है. There is a change. Give a historical example of this. Can anyone? Ancient history example. Very beautiful example. Anyone?
Ashoka.
अशोका. Yes, अशोका. अशोका ने जो वॉर हुआ, ठीक है, वॉर के बाद, कलिंगा वॉर के बाद, Kalinga war ke baad, after seeing the bloodshed, he completely changed. So you can write in visualization thing. This example you can write here. Very simple. Everything has to be given through an example. That's it. See, these are notes. Fine. These are books, but in answer you have to write in 150 words. So you have to be very particular with the language, very simple language, simple example. Always remember simple language, simple example. Okay. Fine. Next. Reading biographies and autobiographies. Biographies and autobiographies are nothing but a peep into the lives of other people. Other people के जो great people है उनका जब biography पढ़ोगे, obviously you'll get that, like you'll be influenced, right? Detailed explanation about one's life events smeared into emotional touch could touch heart and could produce laughter as well as cry. Example, Ambedkar. Always take historical example. Ethics में two kinds of, always keep in mind कि you will two kinds of example. Always give historical examples, okay, and it will be better if you have good knowledge on your ancient and modern history. खास करके I cover the modern history through contributors, right? So from there you can take examples depending on the question, obviously. Historical, and one is either it will be personal or daily life, daily life events. Always try to give examples from these two dimensions. It's very easy to write, plus it will look very relatable. And always remember, once the example becomes relatable to the person who is checking, once it becomes relatable, history relatable, daily life relatable, once it becomes relatable to what is asked in the question, you get the marks. As simple as that, you get the marks. It's very simple. And use the right words in ethics. Very simple funda. Okay? Okay. Now, about say Dr. B.R. Ambedkar could help one empathize with the deplorable plight of untouchables. उन्होंने untouchable के लिए बहुत कुछ किया है. ठीक है? The events like Ambedkar being made to sit on a gunny sack at the corner of a classroom, water being poured from top to drink, churns one's heart and doubtlessly create empathy to injustice meted out to untouchables. हो जाए जब तुम बुक पढ़ोगे अम्बेडकर के बारे में, you will feel that. Okay. Similarly, Gandhiji was pulled out of a train in Petersburg when in South Africa. We have covered in modern history. Okay. He was pulled out of a train in Petersburg in South Africa for being non-white. यही से तो शुरू हुआ उनका जर्नी. If you remember, some days back in class I told, वहीं से शुरू हुआ उनका जर्नी. He felt that empathy कि मुझे अगर कर रहे हैं तो दूसरों को कैसे होता होगा. Reading this from my experiments with truth, this is the book, along with the emotions associated with the same, could empathize one to the plight of blacks under the policy of racial discrimination happening in South Africa. Okay? Solomon Northup's 12 years a slave narrates such emotionally charged incidents. So you can give your own examples. It's not like you have to give this example. Give this example. Give this. These are very relatable than this. Always. See, don't think if someone gives these hi-fi example, he'll get good marks. It's not like that. You have to simply satisfy the demand of the question. Satisfy the demand of the question. That's it. With your language, with your justification. Very simple. Okay? Okay. So these incidents undoubtedly help one to empathize with the people. Okay? So by reading autobiographies or biographies, once you read their events, you will come to know. Okay, fine. Next. सबसे बड़ी चीज टॉलरेंस. टॉलरेंस भी गांधी जी is one biggest thing was tolerance. He always told for you have to be tolerant. You have to listen what other people are saying. You may disagree with him. You may disagree, but at least listen. Be tolerant to listen what he or she is saying. A person can develop empathy by being tolerant. अगर आप tolerant हो तभी जाके आप empathy develop कर सकते हो. Tolerance refers to respecting and accommodating the attitudes and practices of others. Practices means anything. It can be a religious practice. It can be any practice which you do not like from inside. It's okay, but at least you have to respect that. You have to accommodate that. This is more so with regard to the attitudes and practices that are diametrically opposite to yours. So if you suppose you practice something, okay, and you are working for a person or you want to deliver some service to the person who is practicing something which is totally different, you simply can't say no, he is not practicing this, I'll not. No, you have to be tolerant. You have to respect that what is doing. Obviously it should be under the legal thing, that is okay. All comes under the legal ambit, by the way. Whatever I'm saying, all comes under the legal ambit. Okay. So a tolerant individual would befriend with people of all religions and culture. Sab ek hai. Because you are here for public service delivery, not for finding who is from what culture, who is from what religion, who is practicing what religion. No, that should not be the case. खास करके tolerance उसी में use होता है. ठीक है? It can be anything. It can be cultural tolerance. It can be religious tolerance. It can be racial tolerance. Everything, each and every tolerance is coming under this particular topic. He does not mind intertwining with anyone. You have to do it. You can't simply say, no, I will not have that food. I will not have this food. Caste. The thing is, caste thing comes. We will not have food from different caste. Nothing doing. You have to be okay with everything. And it should come from your inside. It should not be external factor just to show that you are doing. No, it has to come from inside. You should eat with everyone. Food का क्या problem है caste के साथ? Food is food, right? Okay. So he does not mind interdining with the people of another religion or a group, even though the latter eats food prohibited by the religion of former. Suppose that food is not prohibited. You don't take that food, but you should be okay with interdining with that person. You may not, nobody is forcing you to have that food, but at least you should be okay. You should not keep anything in mind. Suppose there is a religious festival. Loudspeakers are blaring with songs of that religion, which is nowadays going on. Okay? A tolerant member of another religion would not get irritated at these songs. Earlier, the kings used to patronize a particular religion and try to disseminate other religions. Earlier, what happens is, मतलब ancient or medieval में एक particular religion को patronize करेंगे, दूसरे religion को they will not support. Sufferings used to be inflicted on the members of other religions. Other religions को suffer कराते थे. Alauddin Khilji imposed religious tax, jizya on Hindus. It's a very common thing, medieval history. Hitler killed Jews in Holocaust. It means they were not tolerant. They were not tolerant. Abdul Kalam's father is the best example of tolerance. Hindu priest in Rameshwaram, lead Hindu priest in Rameshwaram, was Kalam's father's best friend. And Abdul Kalam was a Muslim. So here they used to exchange religious ideas. It means he was tolerant. Very good example you can write. The culture of offering sweet dish to Hindus during Ramzan festival in northern Karnataka is the best example for religious tolerance. So this thing has to be patronized by the government in today's time. By the government in today's time. In today's time, in today's जैसे आज का माहौल है, very sensitive माहौल is going on in today's time. Like the religion thing is coming every day in the news you see. So these things has to be taken on a priority basis and should be shown to the people by a big leader from both sides, not only the ruling party. It should be coming from opposition also. Everybody are responsible. In today's time, what is happening? Everybody are responsible. The ruling party, the opposition, everybody, because they want only, जैसे हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं, उनको कुर्सी से मतलब है. Okay, fine. Now, why tolerance is important? Why tolerance is important? Tolerance is important because one's own beliefs may not be correct always. Hence, tolerance would help in correcting one's own belief and rationalizing the same. हमेशा तो एक belief सही नहीं होता है ना. Whatever you believe, I'm not only talking about religion, I'm talking about everything. Belief. Okay, so maybe it is wrong. So once you become tolerant, it can help you correct that. It promotes सबसे बड़ी चीज diversity in a country like India. In a country like India, when many caste, communities, race, they all stay together. So to promote diversity, tolerance is the most important thing. Otherwise, monotony sets into the functioning of the society. This is a precursor to the decay of the society. Anything can happen. Civil war हो सकता है, कुछ भी war हो सकता है. Synthesis of two sets of ideas creates a better idea and better way of life. Most law and order problems arise because two groups hate the belief systems of each other. प्रॉब्लम वहीं पे होता है जब टू ग्रुप्स एक दूसरे के बिलीफ सिस्टम को हेट करते हैं एंड दे डोंट टॉलरेट. फ्रॉम देयर स्टार्ट्स द प्रॉब्लम. एवरी ग्रुप सीक्स टू एस्टैब्लिश सुप्रीमेसी ओवर द अदर. एक ग्रुप हमेशा दूसरे ग्रुप से सुपीरियर दिखाने की कोशिश करे या दे स्टार्ट टू शो दैट वी आर सुपीरियर देन द अदर्स. दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ द एटीट्यूड ऑफ इंटॉलरेंस टू अनदर कंपीटिंग ग्रुप. सो अगर टॉलरेंस होगा तो ये सब नहीं होगा. इफ टॉलरेंस इज देयर सो दिस थिंग विल वैनिश अवे लाइक एनीथिंग. Okay, fine. Tolerance can help a businessman deal with every other individual who makes a business sense. Thus, economically also business grow karega if they can leverage strengths in every religion. So you have to connect this. So this is an economic point. Overall growth के लिए भी तो चाहिए because everybody are a part of our society. ठीक है, कुछ कुछ बिजनेसमैन होते हैं अपने कम्युनिटी, दे डू बिजनेस ओनली विद देयर कम्युनिटी. सो इट मींस यू आर नॉट टॉलरेंट. So economically business will leverage hoga because it becomes very how do you say, it's very sustainable or it becomes very holistic. Not use the word sustainable, very holistic. Or you can say inclusive is the best word, is inclusive. It becomes inclusive. Everybody are included. Okay. Next. compassion towards weaker sections. Okay, compassion towards weaker sections. Weaker sections include poor, beggars, destitute, orphans, सब ट्रांसजेंडर हो गया, डिसेबिलिटी के हो गया, वुमेन हो गया, उनके तरफ कंपैशन होना बहुत जरूरी है. हियर आल्सो यू कैन टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ एनीवन. यू कैन टेक प्रशांत नायर के एग्जांपल, यू कैन टेक एनी एग्जांपल. ऑपरेशन सुलेमान एग्जांपल है, ठीक है, एनी एग्जांपल यू कैन टेक. इट्स अ वेरी नॉर्मल थिंग. सो दिस थिंग यू नीड टू हैव. ओके, नेक्स्ट. Why a civil servant? Now we'll come to here. It's a normal thing, you can go through it. Why a civil servant should be compassionate towards weaker sections? Kyun? You can write your own thing. But the thing, what I'll tell you here is, see, every point is different from others. You can't simply keep on repeating the same point with different language or vocabulary whose meaning is the same. You can't do. Why civil servants should be compassionate towards weaker sections? See, front-end employees in government offices are mostly not compassionate towards weaker sections. Weaker individuals are not even allowed inside the office. They are not guided or misguided. This makes it imperative for a civil servant to be compassionate. अब गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स की हालत देखोगे आपको पता चलेगा. Weaker sections को तो बात तक नहीं करते. They don't even talk. The front end, I'm talking about the front end. So there, एक civil servant जो कि बॉस है उस डिपार्टमेंट का, he should take a stand and make a rule. He should take a stand and tell all his subordinates or employees, everyone, starting from front end to every employees, कि you have to take them with utmost care and respect. So यहाँ पे भी civil servant का काम आता है. A civil servant needs to understand that weaker sections come all the way from faraway places. Hence, he needs to stay back a little longer to meet all the petitioners. ये भी एक point है. The departments meant for the welfare of weaker sections are often poorly staffed. Hence, a civil servant's compassion prompts him to provide adequate resources of such departments to deliver the benefits of scheme. This disability welfare department is an apt example for this. Many times what happens, the department has only 2 to 3 individuals. Only 2 to 3 individuals who support the disability welfare officer. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, यहाँ पे एक understaffing हो जाती है. Okay, very understaffed, बहुत कम staff से. तो obviously it will delay the processing of application and the delivery of benefits. कितना बार आएंगे? They come from very far away places, right? So a compassionate civil servant would identify extra staff in other departments and temporarily deputation पे लाएंगे. They'll bring them on deputation, extra staff add करेंगे to this department so that the work becomes easy and the work becomes fast or expedite. The processing of application becomes quick, and the people or the maybe the disabled people or the any people who are the weaker sections, they should get their own services very promptly, right? He shall also direct the ground level functionaries of other departments to render necessary assistance. Weaker sections are often socially ostracized. Socially, उनको लोग अच्छे तरीके से नहीं देखते हैं. They are very ostracized. People don't talk to them. They look them very differently. Weaker sections को, and subjected to inhuman practices in villages. This is more so in case of scheduled caste. Such harassments have to be dealt with iron hand. We have a law, SC/ST Act, Atrocities, SC/ST Atrocities Act of 1989. A civil servant with compassion towards SC shall definitely invoke SC/ST Atrocities Act of 1989 and punish the perpetrators. Iron hand से करना पड़ेगा ये सब चीज. This sends a signal to others that any harassment could lead to harsh punishment. You should take a chance, because see, SC/ST do not know, most of they are not that much educated. Education का भी problem. They don't know about. They're not aware. The awareness level is very less. You have to make them aware. There is an act. I am there with you. Okay. Now the civil servant needs to develop compassion towards transgenders also. They are also a part. They are also very much a part of our country. Other weaker sections have some sympathy in society. They have associations, groups, organizations that raise voice for them. However, transgender does not have a sympathy. So unke liye bhi. So we have a Transgenders Act. We have a Transgenders Act, Protection of Transgenders. You can write this act, very recent act. Okay, I guess 2016 or 17. जो भी है. If you don't remember the year, also not an issue. At least in ethics, it's not an issue. You should write the act. Simple. Okay. However, transgender, they are treated with mockery. One section of populace keeps itself away from them, does not even look at them. This section gets irritated by the mere sight of the transgender. Other section of society exploits them even sexually, beats them up, torture them. सब करते हैं. ये सब हमारे सोसाइटी में ये सब चल रहा है अभी. There is no section of society that empathizes or sympathizes with transgender. The mere fact that the society treats them with scorn makes it imperative for a civil servant to have compassion towards them. तो civil servant उनको समझना चाहिए. The civil servant should understand, to make them understand, and also जहां पे आप काम कर रहे हो, wherever you are posted, you should create that awareness among the people. You should create that awareness among the people कि yes, they are also a part of our society. Okay, fine. Next, you can conduct a survey. How you can do? You can conduct a survey. You can talk to business establishment to give them employment. You have to first of all create awareness. Okay. By celebrity campaigns, you can do. You can do celebrity campaigns. Recently, there was a movie called Lakshmi, Hindi movie. It was about a transgender. So that when the movie was released, the lead hero supported these transgenders. बहुत सारा awareness हुआ था. ठीक है. A compassionate civil servant shall also get included the gender transgender in all application program. जितना भी application program, application form आता है, वहां पे भी हमको ये transgender add करना चाहिए, so that awareness will increase. You have to talk to the government and bring it. Simple. A compassionate civil servant shall ensure that in all forms in government a separate column for transgender is given. Then only that awareness of normal public, why they are ostracized, because ये सब चीज it is not there. That is the thing we think, okay, they are not a part of our society or something like that we think, right? So again, that is also a mindset which is embedded. So this mindset to reduce, these all things has to be done. Okay. Another important weaker section of the society is mentally challenged individuals. They are also looked at as a burden, even by parents. Many times they are deserted by family and they are condemned to begging and roaming on streets. They are treated badly by the security people. Security entry करने नहीं देंगे. Some mischievous people pelt stones at them. ये भी करते हैं. So यहाँ पे a compassionate civil servant would instruct security people not to ill-treat them, because a particular department, if you are the boss, so there will be a security guards, right? So you have to tell them, you have to bring that. You have to bring that change. The security guard will not bring that change in himself. You have to bring that change because you are the civil servant. You are the top level civil servant. You have to bring that change, but to bring them to shelter homes for the mentally challenged. A compassionate civil servant shall also help raising funding also. Funding भी आप raise कर सकते हो उनके लिए, घर के लिए, because they don't have any place to stay, because they have left their family, the family have left them, they don't have anyone. Finally, persons with disability also form a weaker section. A compassionate civil servant would give workspace for orthopedically challenged, get important office documents in braille script जो कि visually challenged है उनके लिए, conduct disable friendly audit of his or her office building, sensitize the staff to create PWD with extra care. Persons with disabilities के लिए extra care के लिए staff को sensitize करना पड़ेगा. You have to sensitize, make them understand कि okay, you have to treat them very carefully. Provision of separate queue and other amenities at polling booths during elections. ये सब चीज आप कर सकते हो. Okay. So that is it. We'll be continuing this with some questions in our next class. Okay. Okay. Thank you.